Imagine you're standing in a market in Vietnam. You buy coffee. The price is written in Vietnamese dong, but the deal that made that coffee possible was priced in dollars. Not Vietnamese dollars, not Chinese yuan, US dollars. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The most powerful currency in the world is not used mainly by Americans. It's used by everyone else, and most people have no idea why. This matters right now because the world keeps talking about the end of the dollar. New powers, new currencies, new alliances. But behind the headlines, the dollar is still quietly running the show. Let's talk about how that actually works. Not theory, not patriotism, just mechanics. Because the reason dollars rule has very little to do with America being rich, and a lot to do with fear, trust, and one very boring problem nobody wants to deal with. Liquidity. Picture global trade like a massive highway system. Ships, planes, contracts, insurance, oil moving from the Middle East, chips moving from Taiwan, food crossing oceans. Now ask a simple question. What language do all these deals speak? It's not English, it's dollars. Over 80% of global trade finance uses dollars. Most oil contracts, most shipping insurance, most international loans, even when the US isn't involved at all. Why? Because when two strangers trade, they don't want surprises. If you're a steel exporter in Brazil and your buyer is in Turkey, you don't want to gamble on each other's currencies. Inflation, controls, sudden devaluations, too many ways to lose. So you both choose the currency that's easiest to accept, easiest to move, and easiest to trust. Not perfect, just usable. That currency is the dollar. Now here's where it gets strange. Most dollars are not inside the United States. There are more dollars circulating outside America than inside it. Banks in London, Singapore, Dubai, and Tokyo create dollar loans every day. No printing press in Washington involved. These are called eurodollars, not European, just offshore dollars, and they form the backbone of global finance. This is the part people miss. The dollar isn't just money, it's infrastructure, like the Internet of Finance. If you're a global bank, you need dollars the way a website needs servers to clear trades, to settle debts, to survive a bad day. So banks borrow dollars from other banks, and when that system works, nobody notices. When it breaks, everything panics. We saw this in 2008. Banks outside the US suddenly couldn't get dollars. Trade froze. Ships stopped moving. The solution didn't come from markets. It came from the US Federal Reserve, quietly. The Fed opened emergency dollar swap lines. It lent trillions of dollars to foreign central banks, so European and Asian banks could survive. Let that sink in. The US Central Bank became the lender of last resort for the entire world. Not by law, by necessity. That's power, not the loud kind, the structural kind. Now here's the irony. America complains about its trade deficits, about printing too much money, about debt. But the world demands dollars. Foreign governments hold US treasuries, not because they love America, but because they need safe, liquid assets, something they can sell instantly, in size. During a crisis, nothing else comes close. Gold is heavy, crypto is volatile, other currencies are small and fragmented. The US Treasury market is the only place deep enough to park trillions without breaking the system. So when people say, why doesn't the world just switch to another currency? They're asking the wrong question. The real question is, switch to what? To replace the dollar, a currency must be boring, predictable, widely accepted, backed by massive open financial markets, and supported by institutions willing to absorb global stress. China doesn't want that responsibility. Europe can't agree on it. No one else is big enough. Dollar dominance isn't about strength, it's about the absence of alternatives. But there's a cost. When the dollar strengthens, countries that borrowed in dollars suffer. Their debts get heavier. Their imports get expensive. Capital rushes out. The same currency that stabilizes global trade can destabilize local economies. And the US doesn't fully control this. It's trapped by its own system. If America cuts off dollar access, it hurts rivals. But it also risks breaking the plumbing everyone depends on. That's why sanctions work and why they're dangerous. Because when money becomes a weapon, trust erodes. Slowly, quietly. The dollar's dominance isn't guaranteed forever. Not because it's failing, but because the world is uncomfortable relying on a single switch. Still, building a replacement is not like launching a new app. It takes decades, wars, crises, and credibility earned the hard way. So the next time you hear that the dollar is dying, remember this. Currencies don't rule because they're loved, they rule because they're needed. And right now, the global economy still runs on dollars. The real question isn't when the dollar falls, it's what breaks first, if it ever does.